I have the Penn State Nittany Lions winning the national championship this winter. As many of you know, I've been very open and public about it. And many others also believe they will hoist the trophy this winter. So at that point, that is not a very bold prediction. But I want to test another hypothetical and entertain the possibility that this team has greatest of all time potential. Do they? It's Penn State. James Franklin's only beaten one top 5 team since his tenure began at Penn State. And many have a hard time believing that Penn State could field such a team. But I will tell you this, had things gone differently for Ohio State and Michigan, just slightly in a more positive direction, they could have been in that conversation. And Penn State's following their model. So from that standpoint, almost to a certain degree, I do not understand. I just do not understand why they couldn't. So let's talk about this here. Really, like let's talk about this and dive into why I think Penn State actually can be a GOAT caliber team. Different from the Ohio State segment about whether or not I think that Ohio State can beat 2019 LSU because Penn State doesn't have the wide receivers to do that. However, one may argue that they have the quarterback to do that. Let's first talk about their schedule. So Penn State's schedule, they're minus 290 to reach the playoffs, plus 230 to win the Big Ten. Over-under win total at 10.5. This schedule features Nevada Week 1, FIU Week 2, Villanova Week 3. Off the Week 4 bye, they host Oregon in Week 5, play at UCLA Week 6, host Northwestern Week 7, play at Iowa Week 8. Off their Week 9 bye, they play at Ohio State in Week 10, host Indiana Week 11, play at Michigan State Week 12, host Nebraska Week 13, and play at Rutgers in Week 14. Before we resume this segment, please take a few seconds of your time to make sure you have liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and for any team podcasts and playlists linked in the description, and also comment your thoughts down below in the comment section and join my Discord server via the description. All of those things I just asked you to do are completely free, and they sign you up for things related to my channel, or they don't sign you up for anything. No cost to you, and all the benefit to you because we release daily college football content here on College Football with Sam. If you want to support the channel monetarily, sign up for a YouTube membership, or check any other links in the description for my merchandise store and Patreon page. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the segment. I love everything about this team. Again, that's why I'm picking them to win the national title, is I love things about this team more than other teams. So I'm in love with Penn State, with Texas, and Clemson as my 3 most likely teams to win it all. And usually at the end of the year, you kind of have that group of 3. Some years it's more like 4 or 5, or even, I think in 2023 you had 6 or 7 teams, or even 8 that could have. It was just, there wasn't a GOAT caliber team that year, but there were several strong teams inside the top 10. Pretty unique in that instance. But that's not normality. Normally you have anywhere from really 1 team that separates itself at the end of the year to really 3 at the most, or maybe 2. That's what I think Penn State will be, along with Texas and Clemson. And then just other teams I love. I could, go on and talk about this in a different video, but I love Indiana to sort of reload. I like Nebraska and Michigan to take steps forward, for example. Like in the SEC, I love A&M. In the ACC, I think Miami's going to rebound. But this is a Penn State video. I think what separates Penn State from all those teams I mentioned outside of Texas is they have untapped and in certain positions unlimited potential. Think of Drew Allar. Drew Allar has round 1, pick 1 potential. The only thing missing about Allar is in-game results. And even there, bless me, he's overall done a good job. Not a great job, not even close to an elite job yet, but he's made progress and he's becoming a better player before our eyes. He could be an All-American this year. In fact, he should be, based on Kotelnicki coming back, based on Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen coming back. Those are all Big Ten, All-American caliber players. Nick Dawkins at center, Olaivavega Ione, Cooper Cousins, and even backup Jevin Williams, I think, are all Big Ten caliber players, or better for the starters. And then Nolan Rucci, Anthony Donkoh, Drew Shelton. They have 3 playable future NFL offensive tackles. No one else has that. Oregon doesn't have that. Ohio State doesn't have that. Indiana, Iowa, Michigan State, Nebraska, Rutgers. No one on their schedule has that. I would argue few, if any, in football even have that, where we know based on film and projections and how they played that these guys could be in the NFL. I mean, Rucci played for much of last year. Donkoh did before his injury. Shelton played for the entirety of the season. This is a team with, at the very least, a very high floor. It's why I think they'll go 10-2 at the worst, and they could go 12-0 at the absolute best. It's the 8th toughest Big Ten conference schedule because you play at Ohio State, who's the preseason number 1 in the Big Ten, and at worst is going to be top 3 in power ratings there. And you play Oregon, who's similar. I mean, Oregon may have a little bit of a lower floor than Ohio State in power ratings, but it's close. You have 2 of the top 3, and you can't play yourself. So besides yourself, you're playing the 2 best teams in the Big Ten. And you have Iowa on the road, you have Indiana at home, and then Michigan State and Nebraska aren't going to be pushovers either. But Penn State should be definitively better than all of these teams except for Oregon and Ohio State. And they return 65% of their production, which is top 25, and their preseason S&P Plus rating is a 27.7. They're only behind Ohio State and Alabama in preseason S&P Plus, and they're the only team out of, the bunch of the teams who are in the top 5 in odds to win the title, only team in the top 25 returning production right there. And Allar right now is viewed as the best NFL quarterback prospect out of this year's quarterbacks who are eligible to declare for the 2026 NFL draft. Cade Klubnik's in that conversation, of course. Manning could be. Sayan's too young. If Dante Moore has this unforgettable year, he could be, but it's not projected right now. When I look at Penn State, I see a team that has that potential. For the first time, I can say that they have that in the same way that Ohio State does. I'll go a step even further and say that I don't think Oregon has the potential that Penn State does. And that's even with, everything playing out in all these teams' favor, which isn't even realistic. In a realistic sense, I think this Penn State team has the highest potential of any Big Ten team. If you want to go lightning in a bottle, it's probably Ohio State given their talent, superior head coach, and the fact they have the 2 best players in football. But for Penn State to actually execute on this, to be a GOAT caliber team, because remember, I'm not picking them to be 19 LSU or 20 Bama or 01 Miami. I don't think they will be. I'm picking them to be in between 2021 Georgia and 2023 Michigan. Maybe could be better than 2021 Georgia, but they're not going to be 20 Bama or 19 LSU by my prediction. So to be a GOAT caliber team, they'll have to be better than even I'm predicting them to go. And I think this team will go undefeated and win it all. So coaching, to win it all for Penn State, but even more so to be this caliber of team must dramatically improve. So Franklin has to actually change his game management style for this to happen. Wide receiver must work out in its entirety. So not just 2 players translate, but all 3 translate, and you probably see some development. And potential has to emerge in ways that we're not exactly expecting. So a key example of that is I think that there is not an Abdul Carter on this team right now. I think Sutton can be close to as good, but in a different way. And an Abdul Carter on this unit would be very helpful. So what if someone becomes that caliber of player at a certain position or at edge that I don't expect? That's what I'm talking about potential emerging. Or maybe at wide receiver, Tysier Denmark is a great wide receiver, an all Big Ten caliber wide receiver in year 1, and then Penn State can go 4 wide, and it's a 4 wide that is almost impossible for anyone to defend. Again, potential emerging. It's a position improving in a way that I or most people don't think will improve, or that maybe even the staff would be surprised improves that much. Franklin's in-game management has to be better. That's a requirement. That's a box that has to be checked for Penn State to be this GOAT caliber team, unless the talent edge is just unheard of. So let's say Penn State's position coaches' strength and conditioning are so good, and a lot of their current starters and rotational players are all diamonds in the rough, again, lightning in the bottle type stuff, or everyone they play, even adjusting for home field advantage, they are 10 or more points better than. And then at that point, Franklin's game management probably doesn't matter. But that's, again, lightning in a bottle and even maybe more unlikely than that. So then I think it's fun to ask that these two things must happen in addition to coaching improving. Allar breaks out. Wide receiver pans out. The O-line breaks through, or Knowles does his stuff. And what I mean by that is two of the following: Allar playing at a round one, pick one capacity and being the nation's best quarterback, and also improving his scrambling abilities, not just throwing. Wide receiver being a great room, not Ohio State caliber, not Auburn or Clemson or Alabama, but probably in the next tier below that. All the transfers pan out, and they're even better than they were at their previous stops, and they have good chemistry with Allar. The O-line being generational. So last year's unit was one of the best in America, but I'm talking about a unit that no D-line can stand up against in 4 quarters without some crazy help or scheme edge. And then out of the final 4, 2 of which I think must happen, Knowles just puts together the number 1 defense. And it's a defense that somehow, some way, because he inherited a good roster and his wonderful position coaches there, somehow, some way, is as good as the 23 Ohio State defense or a little better than that. Or let's go really extreme here and say it's as good as last year's Ohio State defense at the end of the year, not the beginning. A lot of this stuff's unlikely. I mean, it's unlikely for anyone to be a GOAT caliber team, a greatest of all time caliber team, especially now in the modern era with the portal. But Penn State's blue chip ratio is the highest it's been in a minute. Their O-line has 2 5-stars, actually 3 if you count Rucci. It's very strong and experienced. Running back strong and experienced. Quarterback is experienced and has the potential to be one of the strongest players in the nation. Tight end strong. Wide receiver is a position of weakness, but I think they've addressed it in the portal. And defensively, I don't think this defense is maybe as talented from a raw talent angle as the 23 or 24 defense was, but they have a better defensive coordinator. And the secondary should be better than last year. For example, at corner, and linebacker should be better too, with Rojas being healthy and, bringing in Amare Campbell from the portal. So is there a chance that Penn State is this elite and generational? Yes, and their experience and team chemistry plus staff help a ton. Is it likely? No. I mean, I'm one of the highest people on Penn State in America, and I am not even betting on them being objectively in this conversation. Like, people will put them there because 16-0, 12-team playoff, and I think being better than the previous Ohio State or Michigan teams that won it all. But in reality, then when you factor in how down 2025 should be again, and compare the talent that Penn State has compared to LSU and Alabama in, 20 and 19, and then especially that 0-1 Miami team, and some of maybe even the Pete Carroll USC teams, you'll think to yourself, yeah, I don't know if they're definitely in that conversation. Maybe flirting with it, but to definitively be there, that's unlikely. And my prediction for Penn State, I admit, obviously, because Vegas doesn't have their win total at 11.5 or 12, my prediction for them is unlikely. And it's even lower than this. Be high on Penn State. The word of caution I will give you here is do not expect this team to hang, 50 points or 40 points on everyone, or to get a bunch of downfield plays. But do expect this team to carve teams up front, to be aggressive on defense. I caution you against some of you, do not view this Penn State defense as a unit that's going to take a drastic step back because, Jim Knowles always does this where the first year is bad. That's because Ohio State's defense, when he took over, was closer in caliber to Duke and Oklahoma State than Penn State's was. Because, yes, their star talent was insane, but their development sucked. It was awful. I mean, it was like Oklahoma's defense. It was a little bit better because the talent was a little bit better and some of their position coaches were maybe a little bit better. But it was bad. It was straight up bad. Like, he inherited a mess at Ohio State and perfectly cleaned it up in 2 years. I imagine that in year 1 with this roster, they'll probably improve from where Allen had them at the end of the year. Thank you for watching College Football with Sam. Make sure that you've liked the video, subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and team playlists and podcasts in the description, joined the free Discord server where we talk college football 24/7, and have commented your thoughts down below. Check out the description for any ways you can support the channel monetarily. Everything else I've asked you to do is completely free. and your support means the world to me. We're trying to become the next big thing on college football YouTube. 6-figure subscribers, maybe 1 million one day. I think we can do that. And also check out any videos or playlists, anything in these columns right here, where there will be videos and playlists. Yeah, you get the point. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.